Before I start this video, I would like to let everyone know that the prints I was making in the previous vlog are now available in my store. Hello everyone and welcome to a new vlog. This vlog is going to be a little different since I have been drawing a lot in the past couple of weeks. I decided to make a compilation video of most of the paintings that I've done in the past, I don't know, 3 to 4 weeks. I work in Procreate most of the time, and Procreate makes these time-lapse videos for me, so it is really easy to just show my progress to you. If you want to skip ahead to other illustrations, I will leave timestamps in the description below, but for this one I am starting out with my favorite illustration I did of this little Mr. Pumpkinhead and my 3 favorite treats, which are like these Ferrero Rocher, well, they're just called Ferrero Rocher, but during the holidays they make them in 3 different tastes, or like colors, I think. It's the normal one, so the gold one, the dark one, and a white one. And I wanted to illustrate these in the bowl. Then the donut in this illustration is going to be pink, but I actually like the maple glazed donut made by Tim Hortons a lot. So I made it pink because it suited the illustration better, but actually the maple is just like an orange or brown color. And that didn't fit the illustration that well because, of course, little Mr. Pumpkinhead is also orange. And then the third treat is, of course, the either hot chocolate or vanilla latte, also by Tim Hortons. I am so in love with that brand. I really miss that I cannot drink it here because I live in Belgium and they don't sell it here. So I really wished that I would open like a Tim Hortons like they do with Starbucks, but I don't think it's ever gonna happen. While I was working on this illustration, I also discovered a new pencil in Procreate, and I will list the name of that pencil in the description below, and I really enjoyed it. To me, it felt like I was drawing with an actual graphite pencil. It also had a really nice texture and it looks really nice. And here you will see me try out every brush in Procreate, I guess, because I still haven't really found one that I like. And it's just hard for me because I know what I want my illustration to look like. I just still don't really know how to actually get it there, so it's always trial and error, and I don't really have a set of brushes that I go to. I just pick a brush and make the best of it, and I even think that I am just using the exact same brush here to color the illustration that I used to do the line art. Also, in this illustration I made a lot of mistakes. I keep on getting my layers mixed up and merging them together and merging the background and the foreground, and then everything goes wrong. For some reason I still don't have a handle on it, but in the end it always turns out okay, because I figure if I was doing this traditionally I would only have one layer as well, and I would have to find a solution for my problem the way I am currently doing in this digital piece. So here you can see one of the mistakes that I made. I am actually coloring around my foreground, and that's because for some reason I had put it all on one layer and I didn't feel like cutting it out and putting it on a separate layer. So I just worked with what I had and I went around it, and in the end it turns out okay. One of the big issues I have with my illustrations is that I don't pay attention to the surroundings. I don't really have a background or a setting, and for this it's the exact same thing. And I saw who was it? Lin Chen. She is an illustrator who creates amazing illustrations, and she had a tutorial on Wacom, on the Wacom website. I think I've mentioned this before because I've used this technique before for the ground, for the little, I don't know, stone tiles, I don't know what they're called. And she does them like a flat layer, and then she uses the warping tools to put them in perspective. And I really enjoy creating, you know, a setting that way, and I don't really mind that there isn't an actual background. At least it feels that my characters are grounded somewhere. One of the big things that I like about Procreate is the fact that you can do color corrections, and that is something I really missed in Sketchbook Pro. It's not as advanced as Procreate, and so I am very happy that I now have that option. So you will see here that I am changing the colors and making it a lot more vibrant. For the second illustration, I am doing this traditional. I really wanted to experiment with gouache, so I went to my watercolor sketchbook and I started painting. The illustration that I am creating here is based on a painting created by Michael O'Toole. He paints this amazing mountain landscapes in vibrant colors, and I just cannot stop looking at his artwork. So when I decided to do this study, I immediately went to him and started experimenting because I barely have any experience with gouache. Now the paintings that he makes are in acrylic, but I figured since gouache is able to layer colors, I was gonna give it a try. Now to be fair, this is my second attempt at the painting because I'm not a very patient person, and since I've been working digitally, I never have to wait until my paint dries, but for gouache to work, you need to wait for the layer underneath to dry before you can actually add more color on top. And yes, they will bleed a little, but if you wait long enough, it will be fine. The only thing that didn't really work was adding the white in the background. For some reason it kept on drying a lot lighter than I anticipated, and it was very hard to create the effect that it had in the painting. Now you can see that I also made a second painting while the left one was drying. And since I did it traditionally, I also wanted to try and do it digitally. So I went to Instagram, or no, I think I got this from Pinterest, and started creating a digital one. And it's a lot more difficult, basically because you have a lot more options. And it was very hard for me to figure out what brush I liked. If you work traditionally, you have one brush and that's it, that's what you have to work with, or at least that's the constraint I gave myself. If you work digitally, you need to make sure that you can adjust the size of that brush, because otherwise you won't be able to add fine details. And I immediately went into a second one that I did here. Also here I struggled a lot with stylizing the illustration. It's really photorealistic, and that's not necessarily what I want to go for. I want to give the illusion of the illustration and not so much a photo reference. And then afterwards, of course, I had to make another pumpkin illustration. So I wanted to design a birthday card because the daughter of my best friend had her birthday on the 31st of December, and that gave me the idea to make a birthday card. Now, this was created after her birthday, so she will probably get this next year. And I struggled a lot with this one because I didn't like the happy birthday sign in it, and I couldn't figure out what colors I liked. So this took me a lot longer than I anticipated. I usually make these really easy illustrations, no background, and usually I know what I'm going for, but this one was hard. And yet again, you would think I would learn from my mistakes with the layers, but apparently I don't. I really don't know how to figure these out. Maybe it's because I'm used to working in little amount of layers or just a few layers that I just don't think that way. I don't know. I think if you've been drawing digitally for a lot longer, that you think in layers and not so much in one layer, while I work from the back to the front, and I just keep adding color to where I feel I need it. I don't create, I don't know, several different layers. So yeah, you'll see me struggle again here with the layers, but it always ends up okay, and I feel that all the struggle that I've put into it adds to the effect of the painting. I don't mind it at all when it looks like this. So you can see that I'm going over the box, even though that wasn't supposed to happen. Like, the box was supposed to be on a different layer, but then I messed up, and just the fact that I am now molding my painting into what it eventually will become gives it, I don't know, a more natural feel. Because if I would create the box and everything else on a separate layer, you will see like these harsh lines, and you can actually tell that it is a different layer. Like, for the longest time I didn't like his head because it looked so too clean. It looked too clean to me, and I actually welcome every mistake I make because it messes everything up and makes it look more natural and like hand painted, I think. When I look back at this illustration, I still feel that the bow is my favorite part of the entire image. I love how the colors turned out, and I love the shading of it. I don't know, it just makes it all better. And I wanted the bow tie of my little Mr. Pumpkinhead to match the bow of the box, so I gave them the same color. And here I go again with the same technique that I talked about earlier, but now I was gonna give it a twist because I wanted my, I don't know, ground, my floor, to be wood. So I gave it a texture. And here you can also see me again struggling with what I'm doing. So this time I did not merge the foreground and the background layer, thank God. But I did make the mistake of adding color next to the foreground, so I had to erase a little. And the shading of this one was such a struggle. I have no idea what was going on, but it never looked right to me. I didn't really like the happy birthday sign, so I was experimenting a little with what to do in the background. And because I couldn't figure it out, I decided to go back to the illustration and add some light and shading and think it over. And eventually I did more experimenting, and in the end I tried, I think I almost tried every effect brush that I have in Procreate, and eventually I did find one after modifying it, and it created this confetti kind of texture, and then I realized let's just add a lot of it. And this is also how I figured out a way to put it on the ground. So I made several layers and made them big and small, so you have smaller confetti in the back and bigger confetti in the front. And because this was all on one layer, I had to of course erase the things that were covering the illustration itself, but not all of it. And I am pretty happy with how it turned out, and yeah, I hope you like it too. I also created another little Mr. Pumpkin illustration, but unfortunately the video didn't work out as well. And this is how I'm going to close this month's vlog. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.